everybody. Hello, Internet.
Hello, Louise, and hello, anyone who's here. Good
Is my
evening.
imagination, is it very dark there where you are? It is very dark where you
Ah,
are tonight. I think you need a
you mean
light.
you can't see me? It looks okay through my screen, but
We're going to have to ask Norma. Norma, Norma,
no,
please, Internet.
who is there? Can you see me? I can see myself.
Well, I can hear you. That helps a lot. Okay, so what did I say? We are going to, let me just get my sound right here. I'm going to welcome everybody and let me go see. There's no Norma there. Oh, we are on our own. It's so sad. Nobody said they can see or hear us. Okay, that's fine. We'll
Well,
hold our
hopefully
horses.
everyone's there. Speak up, whoever's there.
Okay, so it's been a long year, hasn't it been?
And intense.
What is it now? Is it 11 months or 12 months of lockdown? I
I
can't
think
remember.
we started in February or March last year, wasn't it? About a
Started on the
year.
17th. I remember it was the 17th, but I can't remember. Okay,
Wow.
let's see. Right. Hi, Paul. Can you see Antoinette? Do we need more light on her or not? Okay. All right. So we'll see. Okay. So yeah, it's been a long year. I think it's been a roller coaster ride for absolutely everybody because our safety has been pulled out from underneath us. And we had to readjust. I think at one stage we've all had corona post-traumatic stress disorder because it was like boom, the next one, you just think it's over, you have hope, or a little bit like battered wife syndrome, you just think it's going to go better, and the next minute somebody yanks your flowers out of your hands again. And we had to constantly adjust, and I think it's the best thing ever. Don't lynch me, people. I just think it's the best thing ever
I have
because
to agree.
we are so used to doing stuff just because we that's what we're doing. This is what I do. This is I simple thing. I hate that the shops are open right through the week from early morning, Saturday, Sunday until 8 o'clock at night. I actually hate it, and it's not like I haven't used it to my own advantage. And I really hate it. I don't think we're being respectful to ourselves as a people by having all these shops open all the time a week, and we can go and shop anytime, and there's no time that is dedicated to being quiet and to be with family and to relax. We make the shopping so important. So that's like one of the big things for me, just like, yes, all the shops are not open all the time, and all those people can go home to their families. And I can organize myself better. So that's like a very, very small thing, but that's not been the highlight of my year. It's not been my biggest realization. How's it been for you?
Yeah, I mean, not much has changed in my external life because I've lived a very quiet, simple life. What did he say? The light's fun. I am the light. Yay, cool. I'm glad you think so. Sometimes I don't feel like it, but thank you. So for me, Louise, externally, nothing has really changed. I live in a quiet place. Booze is not a big issue in my life, although it has
I'm going in the
impacted.
dark too. I'm going
You're in
dark.
the dark.
I also want to
You're
be the light.
no, you are the light. But what for me, what was intense was the internal. Even though I've done so much inner work and recovery and transformation, in this COVID period, there was very intense light shining on some more layers, and Yeah, because there was more quiet time, although I've had a lot of quiet time the last 2 years that I've lived here. And I think for other people, the quiet time's been extreme. No booze, no partying, no going out, no distractions. Some people couldn't work so much, or they're working from home. There have been so many facets of this that have, for me, the most intense part of it has been my own internal work yet again, the realization that there were more layers there and more stuff that I needed to look at, and it came very hard and very intense during COVID. I think it's energetic as well as the space that's been created. It's a time energetically where now it's time for us to show up to be the best version of ourselves. That's it, the time has come.
Yeah. Look, I think it's important that not everybody knows you, so it's important to say that it's 2 years since you've moved to paradise in the middle of nowhere, and like you have to have been to where you live to understand it. It really is the middle of nowhere. You have to drive, and you have to want to go there. And when you get there, it's paradise. And you made that choice to take yourself there. So you've taken yourself out of mainstream, and you have given yourself this gift of this beautiful surroundings and peace. And so a lot of people only got that because of COVID. So
Yeah,
not a
exactly.
not a conscious choice like you have made, but a lot of people were forced to get there and be on their own or be stuck for a long time with people that you don't normally spend so much time with. So the distractions were not there, and a lot of the, the things that we use to quieten the emotions, like let me go and watch sport, and that's stuff that we not like to drink. So a lot of that wasn't there. And here we are, and we are raw, and we are forced to sit with it. And our habits are broken, and our routines are broken. That's the part that I like. I
Yeah.
like that habits and routines are broken. We have got long enough. It wasn't just 2 weeks. It was bloody long enough. Okay, it's a long time for us to readjust. Because if I think about it, if I go on holiday for 2 weeks, even a week of holiday takes me out of my routine, and I'm going to come back with something. I'm never going to go away for a week of holiday and not have some sort of insight about my life and how I can do something different and how I can find something that I can tweak a little bit to make my life better. Now we've had a whole year of this, and it's forced us to reassess. So um, we're going to ask our audience if has it been hard for you? Has it been easy? What do you like? What didn't you like? But most important, here's the thing which I think we really want. We want to know, did you realize that you wanted to change something? Because that's the stuff that we are here for, isn't it, Antoinette?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my journey with cancer prepared me for this time, actually. So I feel privileged in a way. I was prepared in a way because that's what other situations have done to some of us on an individual basis. Cancer or bankruptcy or something, it's catapulted us out of our comfort zone. And what we do with that is what's important.
Yeah.
So I changed almost everything in my life, and people don't have to necessarily do that. They don't have to move and give up their career and do everything I did. But what we all are being called to do in those kind of situations, which COVID is pulling us into, is to change internally, actually.
Yeah.
And that, for most human beings, only comes from the research I've done and from my own journey, is when they are, in a good South African word, snot clapped, which other people from other countries won't understand. But it means we get a very hard knock. We get our knees broken before we wake up and go, I've been in the sleepwalk. Actually, I'm working hard. I'm successful. I've got a lot of friends. I'm helping the animals and the people. And I mean, whatever it is, our coping mechanisms, our addictions, our avoidances, we don't even realize we're in those patterns until we
No,
get
we
stuck.
don't. Yeah, we actually don't. And we become unaware of what's not working. That's the worst of it. Um,
Oh,
in,
exactly.
in whatever we are chasing and whatever the reasons are, those reasons are not always even there anymore, but we are just so in the habit of chasing something. And it's becoming aware of what we need to drop. That's a very big part of it. For me,
And Louise, the other thing is people are so scared of change. I was one of them. And we're so scared to make a change in case we don't have enough money or we won't be happy there or we won't make friends there. Or I mean, I was 57 or nearly 58 when I moved to a completely different place where I knew nobody. I gave up my business. I dropped everything, and I'm not suggesting everybody has to do that, but all I'm saying is it really worked for me. I have the best life now I've ever had with not much money, but actually it seems irrelevant now that. But so we mustn't be scared of making change. That seems so big and seems so scary.
yeah, we really don't have to move. When I originally started working on myself, I was at the stage I was desperately unhappy. Part of what I thought I was being unhappy about was where I lived, and I was desperate to move. And I started working on myself. I changed every single thing about my outlook, my habits, what I want for myself, how I take care of myself, how I am in a relationship, how, what my wants and needs are. I suddenly had wants and needs, never mind what they were. And after about 2 or 3 years of doing this work, one day we were on a motorbike trip back to Nottingham Road, and I'm going over the hills, and I'm looking at where I am, and I'm going, why did I want to move? I'm here. This place is beautiful, it's peaceful, it's arty, it's so many wonderful people. Why did I want to move? And I mean, that was 12 years ago. And
And the
I'm
other thing
happy.
about moving, Louise, is it doesn't take away your internal state and the internal
No,
things need healing or looking at. You can live, I've lived in paradise for over 2 years now. And let me tell you, my deepest inner work was here in paradise because it came with me. It didn't run away because I moved to the seaside with wonderful nature.
yeah, so I hung my unhappiness on the wrong thing. I said, I want to move. I don't want to live here anymore.
Mhm.
And my unhappiness had nothing to do with where I was or the relationship I was in. I thought it was. It wasn't that. It was that I wasn't happy and peaceful inside myself, and I wanted something to fix it. So it's true exactly what you say. You're not going to move. A move is not going to be the thing that fixes you. So, okay, so let's, before we talk a little bit more, let's just go and see what everybody is saying about how 2020 was for them. How about that? I'm going to check what
And let me
everybody's
know if I'm
saying.
shouting. I feel like I am, but I don't know if it comes across loud or not.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe Paul will say you are the sound.
Shaman, shaman.
Hello.
Come on, Paul. Say
Lovely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's nice for you to be here.
hello, shaman. Yay, glad you're here.
Yeah, so we agree with you on that. Okay, so Norma, we needed you. That's
Where were
late.
you, Nova?
You can't be late. You can't be late. Yes,
Yeah.
I have changed too. I'm the queen of reinvention. I have changed myself so many times over these last few years. I'm starting to look forward to it.
We must be careful we don't become addicted to change now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. But change is best when it happens as a part of a moving
Oh,
equilibrium.
Paul, you always put the most beautiful words. You articulate things so
Yeah,
well. Yes.
absolutely. Right. Happiness is where you are right now. But a lot of people don't know that. So that is the problem. If everybody knew that, then we wouldn't have had coaches. We wouldn't have had anybody needing coaches. Okay, and yeah, when it's part of a moving equilibrium, yeah, I think you mean. Okay,
Good
right. So
point.
nobody. Nobody said that they've been struggling with anything or I liked or disliked 2020. I loved it. I'm sorry if I am upsetting anybody, but I just loved it. And I think I love it. I love, okay, first of all, it's like really easy to love isolation if you're an introvert. So all the extroverts get a free pass. You don't have to like it. But it suited me so well. It just suited me so well. And I got so much done and I didn't waste time on stuff unnecessary. But one of the biggest things I did was to make more time for me and to do things more according to what I want and not for a person that maybe will walk in the doors of a shop because um, apart from what I do, the coaching business, which I do every morning, I go into the studio and I've got about 2 hours in the studio. So I go to the studio when I do pottery and stained glass and there's a shop and I've got accommodation. So that stuff needs to be run, but suddenly they didn't need to be run. And it was wonderful. And it's terrible because there's no money coming in. It's wonderful and it's terrible because there's no money coming in. But here's the amazing thing that it gave us the chance to look at what we were doing and to say, okay, fine, what, do we need so many staff? Can we drop this? Do we need to do that? Um, don't like to drop staff, so that's not a good thing to do. But what we did was we changed our accommodation into contractors' accommodation who is taking care of themselves. They need a place to stay when they work in the area, and it became easy. And all of a sudden, and we tried over December to go back to the tourist accommodation, and we hugely disliked it. And we would not have known this if it wasn't for this time. And I emptied out the extra room that I had that was standing empty, and I can go and make an extra unit there. I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have this extra time. So, like, that's a little small practical thing. That's not like the life changing things, but the quality of life that this is adding to my life. I am not running up and down and checking rooms all the time, and, uh, and it's so easy. It's people booking for a month. It's too wonderful. So that's a, that's that's just a small way in which we can change our lives. But what if we want to go into a total different direction? Or what if we suddenly realize that we feel restless or something is not working? What do we do then? That's the big question.
Well,
Okay,
that's why I changed everything because I had that insight already 3.5 years ago, and now it's coming to many people. So, what do we do with it? Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
yeah. Okay, so I think the first thing which is really important is to go and adopt yourself a new mindset. You are the one who is supposed to start going with the flow. There is absolutely no use. Any of us standing inside the sea and we go like, no, 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 wait, go back, wave, don't do this. No, we have to learn. When the wave is coming, you're going to go like up or down or under. You're going to do something with that wave. You are not going to tell the wave to not do what it's doing. And we have to have that attitude about life, that we have to see what's coming at us, and then we have a free choice to decide which of these options do I want. Because nobody's proudest when you stand in the sea. You can decide. I need to dive over. Oh, I'm going to body surf this one out. Or I'm just going to stand here and let it give me a big fat whack. We always have these choices. So if we take away the feeling of powerlessness by saying, what do we do about this? That is what we're talking about. That is like literally the answer. This is what we do about it. We don't just stand here and let it whack us. We decide before it comes. And then even if it whacks us, we can go like, okay, I decided to do nothing. I'll just stand here and it whacked me. So good,
I mean, the interesting thing about being whacked is people seem to take one of two approaches. So often, when people are whacked, they go even deeper into their addictions and patterns and avoidances, like more alcohol or more whatever. And it's interesting, COVID has forced people not to work so much and not to drink at times. But the other choice we have is to say, okay, well, maybe this is showing me something or teaching me something, or Yeah, and whichever path you take is going to determine whether you get through it. It's like a stone, when water comes along towards a stone, what does water do? It doesn't stop and it doesn't freak out. It either goes over or it goes around or it finds a way.
Yeah, exactly. And so if we become that person in the sea, instead of wishing that the sea wouldn't do this thing. Okay, sea, stop bringing these waves. I wish you wouldn't do this. If we just said, okay, this is what the sea is going to do, there's no predictability. It doesn't exist. This is how life is. You don't know if it's going to be calm today, how long it's going to be calm, when that big wave is going to come and whack you. All you know for sure, if you stand in that sea long enough, you're going to be whacked. But you can also know that you have a choice about where you stand, how you stand, what you do. Are you planning for that wave? Do you have a boogie board? Are you going to surf it out? You have choices all the time. And if you start looking for the opportunity and the challenge, rather than go to the helplessness, I don't wish this so. I don't want this so. This shouldn't be so. This should be over. You know,
Resisting.
why me? Yeah, all the resistance. If you drop the resistance is what makes any kind of process harder. Look, let's be real about it. We are supposed to be all in mourning because we've lost a way of living. We've lost our safety. Um, I think we a lot of us have now settled in a little bit more into this daily threat to our lives. This has been how it's been sold to us. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying it has been sold to us as you are under attack and you are going to lose your lives if you don't listen and obey. It's like a fear that's been put out there. And I'm not going to get into a debate on that, but if you live your life like that, your biochemistry changes. And if you live in isolation without human contact, your biochemistry changes. And so nothing about this is healthy. And then if you lose your feeling of safety in the world, and how many people have lost their safety in the world.
And
I can't
freedom.
imagine. Yeah, but you know what?
Freedom.
Freedom of choice, that's a huge one to lose. I watched myself turn into a raging maniac one day in the bank because somebody wasn't a meter and a half away from me. I couldn't even recognize myself. I didn't know who the heck I was because
Yeah.
I had such an overreaction about it.
Yeah.
And I think if I can have an overreaction, like everybody can have an overreaction. So it's been hard. We have to acknowledge that. But if we fight it, that's our problem. If we fight it, if we go, I don't wish it so, or I feel that I'm a victim of the situation, that's when we're in trouble.
Yep.
So, okay, so let's go and check and see what our people are saying on it. Let's do that. There you go. All right. Okay. Paul said he liked the solitude too.
Mm.
Right. Sometimes this doesn't change, but love adventure. Yeah, I love that. See change as an adventure.
That's beautiful, Esther. Yes.
Be addicted to everything happens for the greater good. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I love it. Yes. Suffering always has a purpose there. Oh, you were essential. Oh, wow.
And here you are. Thank you for
And
that.
here you are. That must have been an amazing experience, or is an amazing experience, Tracy.
Okay, so Norma, how much did you grow in this year? That's what I want to know from you. I want to know this specifically from you. Yes, Paul. Yeah, more mindfulness. A simple quiet. That's a good word for it. A simple quiet. Okay. Felt and still feels like a message from the earth. Yeah, I think a lot of us feel like that. I have to agree with you, Esther. You know what I miss the most is the art. And whether it's the art art in a park or art or going to a music concert. That that that's hard. And
You know what I miss the most is that connection. And I don't have a lot of connection here because I live quite isolated, but I had friends come here from Durban and I was quite shocked because they hugged me actually. They'd already had COVID and survived and they hugged me. And you know, there were two things that came to me from that. The first was I was shocked because someone hugged me, and I was a little bit taken aback and quite pissed off, actually. I was like, they have no respect for my safety. But after they left, I realized how important it was that they did that because I miss that. I miss spontaneously giving someone a hug. Even if I only see people once a week or every 10 days, I want to be able to hug them and connect with them without this. Like, I think that's quite rough for us, that adjustment.
yeah, we need 12 hugs a day for our well-being, or for our bodies and our minds. We need 12 hugs a day, which is equal to 12 deep connections a day. And so we're a little bit, it's like being sleep deprived. We are hug deprived.
Mhm.
And we live in the hug capital here, so it's a big challenge. Yeah. Okay. So we're talking about not resisting it, and I think that's part of the reason it hasn't been a really hard year for me. Except I had 3 days, 3 days of real deep, deep, deep resistance, and that was when I had the slip disc. In those first 3 days, I was angry at my body. I was feeling betrayed by my body. I was enjoying having this peace and solitude, and I could create and do whatever I want. I was so angry and betrayed. I felt so betrayed by my body. Until on day 3, which was a Saturday, when I finally asked myself, okay, fine, what is this giving me? And then I parked my butt. Well, it was my back that I parked because it was parked already. And I was stuck in a bed already. And I got two enormous gifts out of it. And it's really like only the last few weeks that I managed to get the bigger part of it. And it was a lesson that I needed because um, so the practical part of it was I'm stuck in bed and all of a sudden I can't see any clients. I can't run a group on like I've been doing for 12 years, running groups every single week, and so all of a sudden, I have this time in front of me, and I started taking everything online. And so I started working on the programs, which I have been saying now for 5, 6 years. I want to take it online and help more people and reach more people because knowing this stuff, knowing how to be at peace inside yourself, knowing how to neutralize your triggers, knowing how to communicate mindfully and live mindfully. All of that stuff is that's what people can learn. They don't need to be overreactive or withdraw or have bad self-esteem. They can learn all these things. And so I've got this big desire, but my hamster wheel life kept me running up and down and checking rooms so that people can check in, making sure everything is dusted and the garden is nice and talking to clients. And I just got distracted away from my big goal over and over and over. Like, how big a gift is that? To have
Huge.
3 months where I'm forced to lie on my back and I can just create these programs because most of them were half written already. Most of them I've been using in my groups already. So they were there. All I have to do is put them online. And so that stuff is created. And I resisted it. That's the important thing to see. I resisted it until I went, okay, fine, what am I missing?
So
And
I
that's like
think
my
what you're speaking to here is the gifts that can come from
yeah.
so-called suffering. Like when I was on chemo and I was so sick, I could not. I did everything myself, my whole life, everything, from making money to running my home to sorting out my own medical problems, whatever. And I was so ill, I couldn't scrape myself off the floor, so I had to ask for help. and I received help. I had to receive love. I mean, those are just two simple things that the gift of that awful experience brought to my life, which I would never have got while I was on that hamster wheel of working and helping and being busy and doing yoga and meditating and all the things I was doing. I had to get really sick to learn to ask and to receive. So there's a lot of this is about what do we do with the difficulty? Do we get a gift from it? Because there always is a transformation and a gift through it, or do we go down
Always,
with it?
always. So you see, and this, my second experience was very much the same. It was about receiving help because I've also been so bad about asking for help. But never mind that, taking all this responsibility on me. So I mean, it's so ridiculous when I look back at it at the last few months because the most amazing feeling for me was I can lie in bed and I cannot get up and run because I was actually passing out if I needed to go to the toilet. I would have to crawl there. I couldn't walk and go and check anything. And so for the first time in my life, I had to drop everything. And for the first time in my life, my husband had to do everything. Because I've been pretty good about still running stuff when I had staff available, which I didn't have in COVID times. Say, go do that for me, go check for me, yes, check this, do this, do this, do this. Peel that, put that on, do that, and he could still walk in. There was food on the stove and I was lying on my back. This time there was no such thing. He was taking care of everything. And I'm sorry, but I enjoyed it so much. I often said to him, now you know what it feels like to be me. Thank you for doing it. But here's an interesting thing, which I think every woman will understand. Do you know how bad I felt about this man washing the dishes and cooking the food? And I still felt like I should thank him for doing this. And I should, as soon as I possibly can, get up. And I'm pretty convinced that after I've been better, I had a kind of psychosymptomatic thing like we talked about. Because instead of getting out of that guilt and saying to him, look, I'm working 14 hours a day right now to get all these programs online and to get my website sorted and every single technical glitch sorted out that I can possibly sort out. And do you mind doing this because I need to rely on you because otherwise I can't do this. I mean, and I refuse to feel guilty about it anymore because we are equal partners and we really are. You know, I don't have a chauvinistic husband. He's very supportive. So it was all in my head. It was really all in my head. I just had to say those words. My back is not sore anymore, but I'm still enjoying the fact that he's so capable now. He was
Yeah,
really
but
just
Louise, you taught me in our coaching that not being able to ask for help is actually a kind of dysfunctional coping mechanism, actually, that us adult children, when we've had trauma in our past, our coping mechanism is to be able to do everything and be everything ourselves. But
yeah, and we fear judgment. So because we fear judgment, we are rather going to do everything perfect so that nobody can judge us. So those two together.
yeah,
And it's
and
not,
we're perfectionistic, so he won't be able to do it. I've got a partner who wants to do everything from wash the dishes to clean the floor to cook the food, and I find it so hard to let go because it's like, yeah, it's interesting.
women have an extra layer to all of us, which has got nothing to do. It is the way we've been brought up. We have been taught from so small that we have this job and this is our job. I mean, this is one of the very big things that women struggle with, even no matter how emancipated you are. But you still feel like it's my job to make sure that the house is clean. You know, even if I ask somebody else to do it, I'm still the one who's to do it. So it's a very big mind shift to get yourself out of that and to actually make sure that you don't take on too much and that you actually very gracefully let a lot of this go. And hopefully it doesn't take for everybody having to lie on their back before they can gracefully let it go. Um, but it's been that has been for me, and it's not a COVID lesson. It was just a huge big challenge in my life, which was at the same time as COVID. But it's one of those unavoidable things. I could not move. It was like the sea, and here's a big thing coming. I cannot do anything about it until I started taking the lesson from it. The lesson. But the time that I had to make these programs was wonderful. The lesson that I don't have to feel guilty about it. That
The
weight
gift.
that's off me, that was enormous. And if I didn't have a challenge, I would still be running around and doing a whole lot of stuff. And I wouldn't be going like, yay, husband, you're doing so awesome. And he wouldn't be so proud of himself. So, yeah,
But Louise, when we talked about this topic, we were going to talk about people are being called to reset. Okay, I think that's
yeah,
what difficult situations, if we choose the higher path of learning from it and growing, it requires reset. But it's not always easy to know how to
very
reset
hard.
or exactly what needs to be reset.
Yeah, no, it's very hard. Um, you have to have an ability to ask yourself the right questions. So that's the one thing that you have to do. You have to be able to ask yourself the right questions. And how do you do that? I mean, it's very hard. We don't normally have that ability to ask ourselves the right questions. That's why we keep on the hamster wheel. And then the next thing we have to do is we have to become very clear about where we want to go. The two are connected. And then the third one is you can't do both of those things if you are not willing to drop something. So you have to become ready to drop something. You've got to identify what you have to drop something, to do, which something it is you need to drop, and then you have to figure out how to do it. So there's a lot of logic involved in all of this before you can get to your deep intuitive, this is what I need place. And this is what I love. I love doing this. So every year this time, I do a vision board. I usually only get my act together on about the 28th of February to do a vision board. But it's a very big part of what I do every single year. It's just reassess where I've been and see where I want to go. But it's not just go and make a pretty picture. It is going through all the steps, asking myself all the right questions, and so I do that with people. So I've got one coming up now. So I want to recommend to anybody who wants to get clarity in their life, who's struggling, who wants to make sense of where they want to go. Now, this is with or without COVID that we regularly arrive at this place. But I just think that it's really highlighted by COVID because it gave us the opportunity of introspection and of changed circumstances and a new way of being. And if we go and look for the gold in that situation, we are going to come out to the other side so much stronger and more aware. And we have this huge opportunity to drop a whole lot of the rubbish from our life that we are just doing because.
Yeah, and
Like,
that speaks to core values because you mentioned you've got to understand your core values before you can reset. Actually, and I never realized actually till the last years, I didn't even really know what my core values were because I was riding along with all these defense mechanisms and coping mechanisms and expectations and training and what do you call it from our past. You know, we brought up in a certain way. Like I was brought up, I have to work really hard or I'm going to be a bag lady, actually. And only
yeah,
when I had to reset from cancer, I finally realized I needed to figure out what my core values were. And maybe one of my core values is not to work really, really hard and have a lot of money, but actually to, yeah. So we first have to know what our core values are. And I wonder how many people know that actually.
yeah, it's really hard, like you said. You're so spot on because it's so hard to focus on soul food when you are so driven to succeed. First of all, to make a living, because we all have to make a living, and secondly, trying to satisfy the need to achieve something. Uh, we may be wanting to achieve because we're driven by the self-esteem that we've got tied up in another degree, a better job, a more expensive car, a bigger house, um, the best private school. So, then we have to work really hard. So if we become trapped in that cycle of more, 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 there's very little time left for me. There's very little time for quietness, and there's very little time for really connecting with the people around us because we focus so much of our time on surviving and collecting. And uh, so
Doing.
yeah, we buy ourselves into a hamster wheel, and once we on it, It's very hard to get off. And then there's also a lot of people um, who've bought into the expectations of others. I am only a successful human being if I do this thing which my mother or father or granny or, or partner or um, primary school teacher expected of me. That's what makes me a worthy individual. So I have to be on that treadmill all the time, and I've just got to keep on going, because I have this goal that I'm chasing of being more for all these people who are expecting this of me.
And
And
Louise, it's not always about money or family expectations for me because I had no children, no husband. It was about the expectation I'd created for myself, and through the environment I ended up in, that it was the meditation, the yoga, the gratitude journal, the philosophical meetings. And I've got nothing against any of that, but that can also become within itself another hamster wheel of another workshop, another retreat, another conversation, and not actually focusing on what's really needed for me, because a lot of that can be spiritual bypassing. So for different people, it plays out differently. It's not always about money or
no,
careers or families. It plays out in different ways that we get on these hamster wheels of doing stuff that we feel feeds us. But when we stop and we sit back, we go, well, actually, being a vegan didn't suit me, actually. I mean, that's just me. We all have a different journey.
yeah. I've also been semi-vegetarian until my adrenals packed up, and then I realized this is not a hamster wheel for me. This hamster wants a steak. So, and 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 a very big part of it was definitely very fashionable, and it was, we talk to people's consciousness and their responsibility, and then you sort of don't ask these questions of yourself. What's it that my body needs, and what is it that
Yeah,
I really like and enjoy? Yeah, my body needs meat. I'm sorry, vegans, but my body says no, I want meat. And but look, there's this thing which is in the road less travel, which is it's your job to examine absolutely every single outlook, belief, habit that you have in your life. And whoever does that. Now, that's one of the reasons why The Road Less Traveled is such an amazing book. Because it says to you, it gives you the permission to go like, that thing that my mother believed, my father believed, the headmaster believed, is that really my belief? Let me look at it. Let me take it out. Let me look at it and see. Is that my belief? And if I, with my consciousness of who I am today, my life experience, my goals, my core values, look at this belief, and it's not working for me, I'm supposed to toss that out, and I'm supposed to have my own belief system. And that's a very big part of why we end up in habits, because we are still running on other people's belief systems. And then we feel out of place, and we sort of feel resentful, and because we are not living our lives according to our core values, our challenged and deeply examined thought patterns, beliefs, and the habits that come from that. It's our job to look at them and make sure they are ours. Okay. So so I think, to answer your question, I've set up. I've got a vision board retreat day on Saturday, and I have set up 8 worksheets that contains all these questions, the core values, and all of those really deep questions that makes you think, so that you can get those answers. Because I can't do it for anybody. You can't do it for anybody. You can only do it for yourself. You're the only one who can go and sit and give yourself time and spend that time deeply reflecting. And that's an amazing thing, because I've done this before in real life, is that people walk out on the other side and they go like, I did not see this coming. This is better than I had in my head. I came here so that I could figure out how to do that thing. And then a little bit into it, they go like, oh my word, there's this thing I'm missing. And you can just see somebody light up, because suddenly that heart value, that deep desire, that thing that makes you, sing inside, makes you deeply satisfied. That thing suddenly jumped out of him, and I went, how did I miss this
Your
all this?
laptop's talking.
Oh, laptop.
But Louise, do you offer tools? I haven't done this course of yours. Do you offer tools for people then to create those changes? Because
Yes.
that's the challenge I always find with these vision board things. It's like I get this aha, and then I go home, and then life just carries on happening.
Anybody can get an aha and go home and not do it. But the problem is that very often we don't get our aha and a way in which you do it. So the way in which I do it is we're there, we discuss what's come up, and then we break it down in pieces. And so there's a whole method to it. There's not just like, okay, it's woo-woo and let's hope for the best, or we hope that some luck falls on our head and we get this thing by accident because we've made pretty pictures. It is a whole process of logic before the time, because it's a process of integrating our left brain and our right brain. So we are going to work through it. There's a list. Ask the right questions, get the questions, figure out how to incorporate it in our lives, make sure that we bring our core values into it. And then once we've done it, we go and then we will make a vision board. And again, it's not going to look like you thought it was going to look, because you're gonna have some amazing insights. I hope you're going to do it with us. So it's it's not just a vision board. It is an exercise in mindfulness. It is using logic. I love logic. And then once you've done all of that, you do let go a little bit, and you wait for the magic to come in, because you can call the magic many different things. You can, but your mindset has to be ready to accept the good, because there's a lot of good out there. You have to be able to say yes to opportunities. You have to notice this opportunity. If you're not primed and looking in the direction of that ideal solution, that opportunities are going to come past you. You're not even going to know this is the opportunity for the thing that I need to make my heart sing. So it's a lot to do with attitude, but it's also a lot to do with the openness to receive the opportunities that will come on your road, because we all get opportunities every single day of our lives. Something, they are always around. We don't always take them, and we sometimes run away from them. So it's logic and art and a little bit of magic involved in it.
Sounds good. I'll have to maybe show up.
Yeah, I'll be nagging you. Let's take a look at our. Okay. 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 Right. Let me find. Where was it? There's a lot of. Okay. Okay, there's Linda. Agree with you. So many valuable lessons. That's so funny.
Joy, that's good.
That boat has left the harbour for me. Been there, positive, and still here. Okay. Now look at this one. I love this. Hug yourself.
Yourself.
Okay. Everybody hug
That's
yourself. Hug yourself.
nice. I mean, yes, let's hug ourselves. I never thought about that. Thank you.
Yeah. Hug yourself.
Yeah. Good
Hug yourself
idea.
first. Good. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yesterday that was our day of no electricity. So thank you, Craig. Really appreciate that. No, we just wanted to know if Antoinette was in the dark. But Paul have decided that she's illuminated enough. Okay. Looking for the gifts and
Beautifully said,
overcome.
Linda.
Hi,
Beautiful.
George. Okay, I'm
Hello.
glad you caught us today. I know it's lunch. It's more or less lunchtime there, so we're very happy to see you.
Yes, thank you, Charmaine. The beauty of shadow work. How beautiful is
Yeah,
that? Such a contradiction.
yeah, yeah. Loving all parts. Yeah, okay, Paul, but what are you doing? Are you going back to the same normal? That's what I want to know from you. Are you going to the same normal, or are you going to have an improved normal? The old normal is not coming back. I have a sense about that.
Being mutable is the new normal. Wow. Well said. Yeah.
So we will just mutate with that virus, right? Okay, so
Sorry, that
Charmaine,
wasn't funny.
okay, we look forward to you joining us again next time, Charmaine.
Yay, Charmaine, great to have you. Charmaine's new to the group, so thank you for coming.
Yeah, I have
No,
to say, I
I
need to
haven't.
be Rupert Speeder.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was awesome. Like it. Okay, so
Yes, Esther, yes.
yeah, the year
Yeah,
of
you guys rock.
finding the year of finding that all we need is within. Like that is like such a fitting remark to end up with, eh? Isn't it? Like
Yep.
the year of finding that all we need is within. It's a little bit like my journey originally. I posted on Facebook this week, but not on this profile, about being married for 37 years. And um, Caroline asked me what was the biggest thing I changed, because I was desperately unhappy and needed to get divorced and couldn't do it one more minute. And Caroline asked me, what is it that I changed? And I didn't have to think about that for a minute. I became happy in myself. That's all. You just have to learn to become happy in yourself. The minute you're happy in yourself, whatever happens in this ocean of life is just detail once you're happy in yourself. But I think what we are talking about tonight is not really that. I mean, that's a whole big other subject, how to become happy in yourself. We are talking about what to do if you've been blessed with awareness this year that you need to change something. Whether you are aware of what it is and you don't know how to do it, or if you just know something's not working and I really need to implement something new. I think that's what we're talking about. And so if there's anybody out there who are um, needing help and inspiration, want to have some fun and a community around while we are digging in a little bit, we're going to go deep. It's excellent stuff. And I'm going to hope that you're going to join us on Saturday when we do my favorite thing of the year. Vision board is my favorite thing because, well, not only because of the fun, but because of what I see, what happens for people when they put themselves in that space of anything is possible. Let's go and let's go figure it out. Okay, so Antoinette, so what is your next step? Are you there, or is it happening to you?
Sorry, say that again. Am I there or is it happening to me?
Yeah, are you clear in your next step, or is your next step happening to you?
Oh, for me in my life,
Yeah.
both. Because the interesting thing is the balance between surrender, but very clear intention and focus. So, very focused intention, but also surrender, because we have to open our arms and let the butterflies land. We can't go try and catch them. So it's a balance I still struggle with, to be honest, at the moment. It's like that. But I'm pretty clear about my next step, but I also have to go with what flows and with what comes.
Yes. And that's the big thing about what flows, because if you resist the sea, nothing is flowing. If you accept that whatever has happened now is it's supposed to have happened, then it becomes easy and exciting. And who said this? Was it Esther? It's an adventure, because now you're starting to believe in the greater good that will come to you from the challenge. And once you start living like that, you automatically don't fear a big change anymore. No matter, I'm not saying you need to like it. Really, I don't say you don't need to like it. Nobody likes losing their personal freedom, but it is the excitement that comes from
And
from how
Louise, you also stopped fearing hardship or suffering, to be honest. I can't say I had an easy year last year because my shadow work was very deep. But it it's a celebration in a weird way for me because it's not easy and it's always tough when you're going to another level of past trauma and healing it. But it's also a deep knowingness that that is the journey to coming out the other side more transformed.
hard is
So
not a reason not to do it.
hard,
Hard
oh, that hard's
is
not
not
a
a
word.
reason. Yeah, it's not a reason not to do it. Let me see your hands. How many fingers do you have? Anything
Hopefully
fall off?
five,
Nothing fell
10.
off? Nothing fell off. Okay, it's the fact that something is hard to change something is not the reason not to do it, because
Mhm.
we don't see the heart of where we are at the moment because we got used to it, which is the biggest blessing of changing our routine, is that
Wow.
suddenly we are not in that same space where we are not noticing the heart of what we got used to.
Wow, that is amazing. You must write that down. Do a thought for the day. That is incredible insight. Thank you. Wow.
And and so we resist the heart of changing because we overlook the heart of where we are. The
Wow,
heart.
that's amazing. Louise, that's your catchphrase.
I have many. Okay. All right. So
Sure, it's been a great
let's look at the last comments, and then we're going to shine. Stop. We're going to
eat, hopefully.
we're going to eat. Yeah. Okay. The lotus and the mud. Yes, love it.
Yes, beautiful.
Such.
Yes.
So that is the way that we are very stylishly ending this conversation tonight with the lotus and the mud. That's a beautiful, beautiful comparison. Um, I mean, there's other ones that we can think about. We are the fire lily only burns after a fire.
Um,
So, right. So, any fire lilies out there? I'm looking forward to talk to you. And anybody who comes in afterwards, please go and post your remarks, because we do go back and we go and give you lots of love afterwards. And thank you for coming, and thank you for remarking, and thank you for sharing. I've had so many people sharing the videos, the talk tonight. So we're really happy about you doing that. And every single one who comes and make a contribution and share your wisdom and support us, we love you lots, and thank you for coming.
yeah, thank you and bless you and thank you, Louise.
Okay, guys, out for now,
Bye.
and see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.